Hi all. So I think something slightly offbeat. I have played a gambit on 5 minute against d4, which is the Albion counter gambit. He stopped d5. That's quite funny. That all right, let's just play knight c6 and bishop g4 to try and. So bishop g4 is also stopped. It's quite funny. It's like the opponent's reading my mind here. So we've got a kind of Chigorin system. Chigorin was famous for using his knights, preferring his knights, and doing these seemingly strange blocking in moves, like blocking in the c-pawn. So that Chigorin fence is an interesting one against d4, but the bishop usually isn't as bad as this. So I'm hoping maybe to get the bishop on this diagonal, and maybe a6 to be able to play takes b5 and bishop b7. But that still leaves the problem of my c-pawn. Let's see. Okay, so I'll take. I'll try and play with b5 and bishop b7. Maybe try and get this knight to g6, where it will attack the f4 bishop. But I don't want to give up this dark squared bishop. That's for sure. And bishop b7, knight e7 to g6 looks like a reasonable plan. Let's see what happens now. So if a3, maybe just bishop back to e7. Oh, that will stop knight e7. Bishop back to d6. Bishop back to d6 is interesting. Also, I've got knight d5 now if I want to protect c7. If a3, maybe bishop a5. Queen b3, maybe bishop a5 again. Otherwise, so knight g6 is interesting. Although the bishop gets tucked away. But at least then I've got the e7 square for my bishop to retreat back to e7 if I want it. Maybe I want to try and liberate the position eventually with e5. So maybe rook e8 would be useful here. At least this bishop is now active. Maybe also, I don't know, c5 might be playable with a bit of preparation. Maybe queen e7 then c5. To try and remove this weakness and dissolve the centre a bit. Maybe isolate white's queen's pawn if he allows c takes d4, but he probably won't. Knight takes d4, but then again, opening the centre seems like a good idea. Here, actually, c5 a3 might be annoying. Bishop takes, b takes. Oh, maybe there needs to be even more preparation actually, so that I can play bishop a5, but then takes rook c5 and b4, forking two pieces there. Actually, the knight would be in pre. I don't know. Am I being able to play c5, or should I go for it very slowly with first bishop d6 and then c5, just to be on the safe side? Okay, the light square exchange. I've just weakened c6 now, so knight c6 is a dangerous threat. Okay, so maybe I should play c5 now. Now, if knight c6, maybe queen e8, but then knight takes b4. It's not that pleasant. It's got to be said, this position. Queen d7 maybe? Queen d7 looks as though it might be playable. So I'm getting these double pawns now. On the other hand, knight d5, knight c5. So knight e4, knight e4. What about queen d5? Can't queen d5. Knight f6, just losing that pawn. Is it worth it? I'd win a2. And if the queen takes there takes, I might have the opponent has rook c5, so that's horrible. So do I actually want to play rook c4, b3? So knight takes and queen d5 seems as though it avoids most of the positional issues. But there's still rook c5, but then takes and rook c8, so maybe I can just play queen d5 here. So I'm attacking a2 as well as threatening the queen. So if takes, rook c5, maybe rook c8. Except, oh, have I just lost the pawn for nothing? Not good, losing that pawn. Ouch. Okay, I have to speed up here. And try and do something, maybe rook c4 here to get some compensation. So attacking that bishop, and if I can double up rooks, then I might be contesting that c file quite well. So I think B pawn or D pawn. I think B pawn is interesting because then rook B8. But then E4, timely E4. Okay, I think I have to be a bit quicker on decisions now. So take that B pawn and hopefully have a little bit of pressure. So if I force bishop A3, then okay, rook B5, B3, bishop rook A5 maybe, bishop B4. Okay, maybe this is an interesting move. So provoking B3, I can't take, but then rook A5. Also my king. Okay, I'll try and stop this E4 breakout, which weakens that. That gives my king a bit of air as well. So playing F5. My king in the centre is probably a good idea as well. Okay. So what about F4 here? Then E4. This is a bit annoying. So maybe just King F6. Seems to be just trying to hold up E4 even with my king if necessary. Do I actually want to play rook A5 to stop B3 altogether? Because actually B3 is not a powerful move at the moment because of takes. So but maybe it's going to be. What about H5 just offering a pawn sack? Then knight H7 to F7. I think that's interesting actually, just to be able to play HG and try and weaken E4 control. HG, HG, FG, FG. I've weakened that E4 a bit. Okay, so maybe now just take on the king and to follow up with knight. I can't move the knight on these dark squares, so knight here, H8 to F7 to G5, attacking H3 is a plan. So I'm actually literally holding up E4 with my king almost in this position. Okay, so do I need to try and blockade the king side? Or okay, I think H4 actually to stop any H4 rook G5 check if white's going to play rook G1. So there's no major threats at the moment. So what about rook A5 now to play C3 as a potential threat? Hopefully my king is... Oh, he's got E4 check. Ouch. E4 check. Okay, okay. So no need to panic quite yet because takes. I've got rook D5 attacking D4. If E5, king F5. Rook G4 is okay because my knight's on G6. So am I still threatening C3, or should I just play rook takes D5? I think taking time for rook D5 is more prudent. So now how does white defend that? So here, maybe rook D8 to be able to play check. Although my C4 is under fire. But on the other hand, if I can get in rook E8, I'll get in knight F4. So sacking that C pawn might be necessary now. Because then knight F4, then we might be rook E2. Mind you, I can play rook C8. So I don't know. Maybe rook C8 first. Or actually knight F4 attacks the H3. So this pawn is dangerous on the H pawn. So maybe just check and then rook. I'll take this immediately actually. I don't want to leave some liabilities of my pieces all protecting each other, but then the rook getting really aggressive. Okay, so if I can get back in knight F4. Okay, this is getting dangerous for the D pawn though. But rook D8 might slow it a bit. Or knight takes D5 in fact. So don't have to worry about the D pawn. Now if I can get just losing a piece. Ouch. Okay, here goes H pawn. If I can I don't know, rook E6 to try and tie the rook down. Maybe rook F6. Because if F4 then H2 will be dangerous. Okay, I'll take that. I have to be concerned about these pawns. So rook B3. Right. So if I take
time warning.
Okay, it's getting a bit close on the clock. Okay, if I can get in G5 and G4, this will be interesting. But will I be mated? Oops. I seem to have...
Check.
Actually, I've got H1. Queen.
Check.
Check. Ah, another ending.
Check.
Play some pre-moves.
Check. 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 White forfeits on time.
That was a bit close. It's got to be said. Oh dear. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.